Supervisor Blaser?
Here.
Supervisor Fuhrer?
Yes.
Supervisor Bradford?
Here.
Supervisor Messick?
Here.
Thank you.
So before we get into we only have one agenda item. It is a special meeting, so I'm just going to give everybody kind of a heads up so we're all on the same page. We only have one county item. It's number 669. That's going to be presented by Human Resources and County Administrator. After the presentation, we will receive board comments and questions. This is all normal procedure. After the board comments, we will be open to public comments on just the one agenda item. That means normally we would have public comment on a variety of things, but today it's just on that one item. These comments will be limited to 3 minutes and are not intended to start a dialogue. If there are no further comments, we will ask for a motion and a second. Probably before that, we may go back to the board if they have any more comments or questions. And then we will get to the point of a motion and a second, and there will be a roll call vote, and a simple majority will be required to pass. I think that kind of covers the general ground rules. So we're going to go to our department item number 669. And leading that off, I think, is Tiffany Manuel from Human Resources.
Good afternoon, Chair, members of the board. Tiffany Manuel, Human Resources Director. The County of Yuba Policy and Complaint Procedure Against Harassment, Discrimination, and Retaliation outlines the county's obligation to investigate any allegations of policy violations and the need to take appropriate corrective action based on sustained violations of the policy. On or about mid-July of this year, the county received a complaint alleging inappropriate conduct on the part of Supervisor Seth Fuhrer in violation of the county's policy. Pursuant to the county's policy, the county initiated an investigation of the allegations. The county subsequently retained an outside investigator, Christopher Boucher, of Boucher Law PC, to undertake a fact-finding investigation of the allegations. The county also retained attorney Gage Dungy of the law firm Liebert Cassidy Whitmore to serve as special counsel to the county and to provide legal advice on the investigation process and findings of the investigation. The investigation has now concluded, and the outside investigators sustained the allegations of inappropriate conduct made in the complaint against Supervisor Fuhrer. Where the sustained findings of the investigation are found to be violations of the county's policy, the county is obligated to take appropriate corrective action to address such policy violations. Because Supervisor Fuhrer is an elected official, these findings are presented to the Board of Supervisors to review and determine what action to take in response. I will ask Mr. Gage Dungy to provide an overview of the investigation's executive summary and findings, and then Kevin Mallon will review the proposed remedial action for the board, which is presented in the form of a draft resolution with options for the board to consider. Thank you.
Thanks, Tiffany.
Thank you, Ms. Manuel. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. My name is Gage Dungy. I'm an attorney with the law firm.
You might lift your microphones up just a touch. Thank you.
Can you hear me better now? Thank you.
You're good.
My name is Gage Dungy. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Liebert Cassidy Whitmore. Enclosed in the board packet for this agenda item is an executive summary of assessment into concerns related to Supervisor Seth Fuhrer's conduct that was prepared by outside investigator Christopher Boucher. This is a summary of the findings made in the fact-finding investigation that was undertaken by Mr. Boucher. This summary was drafted to redact specific names of witnesses referenced in the investigation. As part of the investigation, Mr. Boucher separated out the various allegations into 4 separate issues, each of which he sustained. I will outline each of the 4 separate issues and the specific allegations related to each issue that were sustained. Issue number 1, whether Fuhrer has made comments toward county employees or members of the public which could be reasonably construed as, quote, sexual in nature or inappropriate. The specific allegations for this issue are as follows. On or about March 27, 2024, while attending a series of training sessions for county public officials, including the Brown Act and anti-harassment training, Fuhrer made inappropriate jokes to female staff members during the training, which was overheard by multiple attendees, including uttering the term, quote, sex training, when referring to the harassment prevention training and making jokes during the training. This resulted in attendees expressing concerns about Fuhrer's actions, particularly given the context of the anti-harassment training they had just completed. In approximately July 2024, while walking by a female county employee, Fuhrer jokingly told the female employee, quote, "Stop trying to flash me," as she was adjusting her shirt. The employee recalled feeling taken aback by his comment and interpreted it to be sexual innuendo, which was unwelcome and inappropriate in the workplace. While conversing with the county employee at the office during the investigation period, Fuhrer asked the employee about their religious affiliation, including inquiring how often they attended church. Fuhrer further commented, quote, "Oh, I didn't know you were a Christian. That makes you even more pretty," and proceeded to touch the employee in the nose, which crossed the line into personal space and propriety. This gesture was unexpected and unwelcome. While attending the July 2024 National Association of Counties conference in Tampa, Florida, while walking to a reception with other conference attendees, Fuhrer approached a group of men in public and made a comment asking, quote, "You guys look like a bunch of Jews. Are there any Jews in the house here? Where are my Jews at?" unquote. It was reported that Fuhrer's approach was perceived as unsolicited, aggressive, and inappropriate, causing others to feel uncomfortable. While attending the July 2024 conference in Tampa, Florida, while walking to another reception, Fuhrer made a comment to a woman who appeared to be wearing a wedding dress and remarked, quote, "Oh, you look hot in that. Can I be your fiance?" unquote. The woman's actual fiance then approached, and Fuhrer continued the interaction by jokingly stating, quote, "Oh no, actually I'm fiance number one," unquote, and then asked if he could be, quote, "backup fiance number two," unquote. The interaction, which happened in public, was noted as unsolicited and inappropriate by those who observed the incident. While attending the July 2024 conference in Tampa, Florida, Fuhrer was discussing seeking funding for a pedestrian bridge project in his district with the California State Association of Counties, otherwise known as CSAC, staff member. The conversation took an awkward turn when Fuhrer repeatedly commented that the CSAC staff member was, quote, "worth way more than $100, unquote, gesturing towards them. This repetition made the situation uncomfortable, and those who witnessed it described it as socially aggressive and inappropriate. In addition, this incident also led to CSAC and the Rural Counties Association of California, also known as RCRC, submitting a joint letter to the county on August 20th, 2024, complaining about Fuhrer's conduct, which further corroborated the nature of the investigation, or the investigators sustaining the allegations above, With respect to that issue, that CSAC RCRC joint letter is attached as Exhibit A to the enclosed executive summary of this investigation. The CSAC RCRC joint letter notes that Supervisor Fuhrer is suspended from attending CSAC or RCRC-sponsored conferences, convenings, or annual meetings at least until December 31, 2026, and indicates that successful completion of sexual harassment training is required prior to reinstatement to attend such CSAC or RCRC events. With respect to issue number 2 in the investigation, whether Fuhrer has obstructed an employee's path in their office, resulting in an unwelcome situation. The specific allegations for this issue are as follows. Fuhrer allegedly obstructed a county employee's path in their office cubicle, which resulted in the individual not being able to move or exit the office. On another occasion, Fuhrer was alleged to have mimicked the individual's movement so that they could not leave the room. With respect to issue number 3, whether Fuhrer engaged in inappropriate or unprofessional conduct while representing the county at a conference. The specific allegations for this issue are as follows. In addition to the comments made under issue 1 above, Fuhrer also jokingly made a threat against another elected official which could reasonably construe to jeopardize their safety. Specifically, the incident involved Fuhrer and another conference attendee on a small tiki boat during an evening reception. During the outing, Fuhrer, who had consumed alcohol, jokingly threatened to push the other attendee overboard. While the recipient of the comment interpreted that Fuhrer's intentions seemed to be joking, the gesture made them feel uncomfortable. Furthermore, Fuhrer did physically touch the individual, pushing them slightly, which could have resulted in the individual falling overboard given the small size of the boat. Other attendees also noticed the incident and commented on it, expressing concern. Issue number 4, whether Fuhrer has made inappropriate or unwelcome physical contact with county employees. The specific allegations for this issue are as follows. On or about May 21, 2024, Fuhrer tugged at the back of a female county employee's hair. This occurred while the individual was seated at their desk facing their computer. Fuhrer walked past her workspace and unexpectedly tugged at her hair. The recipient of the conduct found it inappropriate and unwelcome. In addition, witnesses to the event found this behavior inappropriate, but also felt hesitant to speak up at the moment due to Fuhrer's position as an elected official. During the anti-harassment training session on or about March 27, 2024, Fuhrer approached a female county employee from behind and put his hands on her shoulder to give a shoulder massage. As the individual suddenly felt hands on their shoulders without notice, they were startled by the conduct and viewed it as unexpected and uninvited. In sometime in 2024, while walking around in the office, a female county employee reported that Fuhrer approached them and had a conversation with them. During this interaction, Fuhrer poked the female county employee in the side or stomach area. It was described that the encounter happened on the side of their body, specifically near the stomach area. This action made the employee feel uncomfortable, prompting them to cover themselves and walk away from him. This physical interaction by Fuhrer was unexpected and unwelcome, and the feeling of unease it engendered stayed with the employee, which also prompted the employee to avoid Fuhrer moving forward. As noted, Mr. Boucher sustained each of the specific allegations and each of the 4 issues referenced above based on a preponderance of the evidence standard. Because each alleged issue and the underlying specific allegations were sustained and appear to be in violation of the County of Yuba's policy and complaint procedure against harassment, discrimination, and retaliation, the next step is for the county to take appropriate corrective action in response to the sustained findings. Because Supervisor Fuhrer is an elected official, any corrective action would need to be taken by the Board of Supervisors in open session in accordance with California Government Code Section 25303. Following this, County Administrator Kevin Mallon will now go over the draft resolution agendized for this matter, which provides proposed options for appropriate corrective action in response to the sustained findings of the allegations of Supervisor Fuhrer's inappropriate conduct.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gage. Chair, members of the board, Kevin Mallon, Yuba County Administrator. So enclosed in your board's packet for the agenda item is a resolution for the Board of Supervisors to accept executive summary of investigation report and take certain actions regarding Supervisor Seth Fuhrer's workplace misconduct. So this draft resolution outlines a summary of the underlying investigation into Supervisor Fuhrer's alleged inappropriate workplace conduct and applicable county policy as referenced earlier by Ms. Benwell and Mr. Dungy. So from there, the draft resolution provides 9 options of appropriate corrective action that the Board of Supervisors can take in response to the sustained findings of inappropriate workplace misconduct on the part of Supervisor Fuhrer as part of this investigation. So the 9 options are as follows. So number 1, receive and accept the executive summary of the investigative report. Number 2, inform Supervisor Fuhrer that county policy prohibits him from harassing or retaliating against county employees and requires that he treat all employees and non-employees with respect and consideration and model appropriate behavior. Number 3, the Board of Supervisors directs staff to prepare a draft code of conduct for all Yuba County elected officials within 90 days for the board's consideration. Number 4, Supervisor Fuhrer is ineligible for nomination to chair or vice chair for a 1-year period beginning January 1, 2025. Number 5, accept the August 20th, 2024 joint letter from CSAC and RCRC and acknowledge the suspension of Supervisor Fuhrer from attending CSAC or RCRC-sponsored conferences, convenings, or annual meetings, at least until December 31st, 2026. Number 6, pursuant to the county's travel policy, direct the chair of the Board of Supervisors not to authorize Supervisor Fuhrer to travel to an event for county business, except where otherwise required pursuant to his official duties, unless such event is also attended by another board member or the county administrator, commencing immediately through December 31, 2025. Number 7, inform Supervisor Fuhrer to direct all communications about county business to the county administrator or appropriate county department head in lieu of interacting directly with other county employees. Number 8, inform Supervisor Fuhrer that his attendance at legally mandated training sessions relating to standards of workplace conduct and harassment prevention be undertaken as determined by county management. And finally, number 9, censure and or express disapproval regarding Supervisor Fuhrer's sustained inappropriate conduct as found in the above referenced investigation. And just to make sure it's clear for the board members and then also the public, I asked council to kind of help me out with this. What is a censure, right? And so a censure is a public acknowledgement of disapproval by the board of the individual supervisor's behavior or actions. It is not discipline. It does not prevent the supervisor from performing his official duties. He may continue to vote and speak before the board and the public. All right. With all of that, the board can choose to accept each of the 9 options altogether collectively or separately as part of the draft resolution that's before you today. I am recommending that the board accept all 9 options collectively. So Supervisor Fuhrer has been provided a copy of the draft resolution and notice that this matter would be agendized and presented to the Board of Supervisors in open session today. He was also advised he would have a chance to address the board during the consideration of this matter. So following this, myself, Ms. Manuel, and Mr. Dungy are happy to answer any questions the board may have on this matter. And then I respectfully request that the board make a motion to move forward with the resolution.
Thank you for your presentation. So now we are going to go to board comment and questions. At some point, Supervisor Fuhrer has a prepared response. So after the board comments, we go to usually public comments on this, and then we can come back for your response if that sounds appropriate to you, Seth. Sounds good.
I'm sorry, my response was later.
I think maybe after the public comment. Okay. So at this point, we're going to do the board comment or questions. So I think we are recognizing Supervisor Vasquez.
All right. On item 6, unless such an event is also attended by another board member, I'm not too sure I'd be willing to be a babysitter. And could you define what we're supposed to do if we just attend the meeting?
It is a little fuzzy because it almost indicates that the person is going to take some responsibility for Supervisor Fuhrer's action. Is that expected or not?
That is the expectation, that either myself or another board member would be present to help in the event that we see corrective action needed.
As long as you take my name off the list, I'm not.
Okay, thanks for clearing that up, but it seemed like that might be more responsibility than another supervisor or somebody may want to take. But anything else, Andy?
No, that's it.
Any other board comments, questions? No. I might just give us a little overview. When this started, was this 3 or 4 months ago?
I believe Ms. Manuel said that it began in July of this year, the investigation.
Okay.
Yes.
And a minor thing, the complaints came not necessarily within the county or within our employees, but actually within the state and cleared to the East Coast is where some complaints came from.
If I could, through the chair, maybe either Mr. Dungy, as far as explaining that, it starts with a complaint, but how an investigation progresses. And
good. I just want to make sure everybody understands the process.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, my understanding is that an initial complaint was received by the county in July of this year, which led to retaining Mr. Boucher. As part of that investigation, other matters came to the attention of the county, including the CSAC RCRC letter, which expanded the investigation and led to the findings where we are today.
Okay. And the the CSAC letter came in what month was that again?
That was on, I believe, August 20th, so it came after the investigation had began.
Okay. Yeah, that was kind of a surprise to see that they felt they had to get to the point of writing a formal letter to the county. So, anybody else from the board? So at this point, we will take public comment. I think we have a couple of request cards come in. And a reminder, the public comment is just for this particular item. So, Mary, who do we have?
Yes, through the chair, we have received 4 cards. The first one is Doug Lofton.
Chairman Blaser, honorable members of the board. My name is Doug Lofton, and I am a resident of Yuba County, and more specifically the 3rd District. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board this afternoon. There are many things that could be said and should be said, but I'll suffice it to say for me, it's a sad day in Yuba County. I've read the executive summary and staff recommendations, and all I'm going to say to that is wow. As you wade through whatever self-absorbed rhetoric you're going to be flung at today, I respectfully ask that you keep in mind your wives, your sisters, and your daughters, and a level of respect that you would require them to be shown from this dais. The level of respect you would demand they be shown from this dais and everyone in this room. I would also respectfully urge you to fully implement staff's recommendations and send a very clear and concise message to Seth Fuhrer that his actions are reprehensible, unacceptable, and will not be tolerated. And then I would hope that the good people of the 3rd District would take it from there. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, Doug.
Second card we have is Tony Farley.
Good morning, Tony. And I'm sure you fully understand that this is just for this agenda.
Serious. This is not depressing. Serious.
Good. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Seth Fuhrer, you're a diversity officer. Sorry, man. Yeah, sorry, Bart. The investigation. Sorry, Bart. Hopefully you go through, stay strong, and have the legal defense team. So I wish you the best of luck. I hope you accept your consequences. You can lie. You do things like that. You get consequences, and it's not fun. It's depressing. So sorry, Seth. And partly Seth been suspended from attending political meetings in y'all state. So that's depressing. So hope you train up. I hope you get your actor. I hope you stay good. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to talk to the lawyer and get the lawyer to his car. I'm going to investigate myself. So I wish you best luck, Seth.
Thanks, Tony.
Next card we have is Ruth Armstrong.
Morning, Ruth.
Gotta come way down. Good morning. My name's Ruth Armstrong, and I'm actually here to speak on the behalf of Seth. I guess what I want to say is I don't know him I know his moral character. How about that? And to me, this sounds like this was just a witch hunt to keep him off the chair position. And I really hope all of you, because I do know that there's a board member sitting there that had something way, way worse than this quite a long time ago, and it was conveniently brushed under the rug. So to publicly defame a fellow board member and to step back and distance yourself and not want to participate with him, I just think it is a sad day for Yuba County that we cannot stand up for one of our constituents. Why is he the only one here being publicly defamed? Where are the other lies or whatever's buried in the closet? How about those coming out? I'm sure there's a lot. And to single out one gentleman from an investigative witch hunt. And you know, as far as CSAC is nothing but a governmental It's not even a governmental agency. It's a non-governmental agency. An NGO is what it is. And this county and no county should be participating with them and bucking up to them for dollars. We should be footing our own bills. We should be overpaying county people here that work who get thousands and thousands of dollars in salary. And I think that's what the concern is, as I think Seth, being the financial guy he is, will rein some of the excess spending that this county does in. And I have faith in him that he would do that as a chair. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming forward.
Next person we have is Tina Hesong.
Morning, Tina.
I am here to stand in support with Seth as well. This issue seems to me the anatomy of a smear campaign. Sex scandals seem to be the quickest way to cancel someone in this current political climate, and especially when the colleagues are adverse to your actions and where you want to take the government. So I say, let the man do the job that we, the people, elected him to do. That's right. We are his bosses, not you. Let him do his job.
Thank you.
Next card I have is Steph. I'm sorry if I don't pronounce your last name right, but it seems like it's Resigno.
Good morning.
Who said good morning? Oh, hi, Rick. I just had one of your brownies, so it's your fault.
You should be in good shape.
Okay. Yeah, my name is Steph Racino, and I used to be Yuba County, and I will be once again. But I do not like what I'm hearing. I am a MST PTSD survivor. So if somebody talks about sexual misconduct, I'm the first one to jump on it. Yuba County back in 82 had my back, and the guy got several years in jail. The Army, they get raises, and he gets put down and they're done. I'm also the mother. My late son was accused of sexual misconduct. The gal later recanted when the truth came out that my son couldn't have done anything because he wasn't even in the state. So I was lucky on that, and I know there are two sides to every story. Everything I've heard about Seth has been positive. Different groups I'm in, he's doing it. Remember back in 2003 when we had Kevin Shelley as our Secretary of State? And then later on the following election, Bill Locklear was Attorney General. Well, to the Democrat, Kevin Shelley, he found a lot of irregularities in the voting machines. So what did they do? They accuse him of sexual misconduct, and he ends up quitting. 2 years later, he's found innocent. Well, what did they do with the investigation that he had when they gave it to Attorney General Bill Locklear? They buried it. It seems like the easiest way to get rid of someone is accuse them of sexual misconduct. And like I said, I'm really sensitive to that because I've been a victim. But on the other hand, as a mother of someone who almost was a victim, I know that there are, in fact, two sides. I'm not here to judge. God hasn't outsourced judging yet, and I haven't even put in an application to be a judge. So that being said, seems like you want to throw the baby out. Let's say he is guilty. You throw the baby out with the bathwater. Well, how about finish cleaning him and giving him a set of rules and some clothes and have him do the job he was elected to do? And that's to serve the people and do, from what I understand, your specialty is finance. Well, math is a 4-letter word, but if it's not for you, then go for it and help Yuba County go forward with the people. Come to some kind of a consensus. Okay, if he did something bad, then you censure him and he goes on and he serves the people. Train him up. It looks like he's well, maybe you are. No, you're the youngest one, so mentor him. If he's guilty, then give him pointers instead of treating him like a Washington outsider or like they did our Secretary of State. Like I said, I'm a Republican. Kevin Shelley was that. I studied that for a long time because I believe there's a lot of election fraud going on. Anyway, that was just one issue. I guess what I'm saying is, don't sully everything. If somebody needs gentle correction, correct them.
We're running a little beyond the 3 minutes, so
Sorry about that.
you can say a couple more words if you have them.
Merry Christmas.
That's a good way to end it. Thank you. Mary, is that it as far as, except for Zoom? Do we have anybody on Zoom?
Actually, yes. Through the chair, we have no more cards, and there is no one on Zoom. So.
Okay. So we're done with the public comment. We're going to bring it back to the board and see if any of this generated any further questions or comments.
Are we going to do board comments after Seth's presentation?
We can do anything we want. We can do that. I think it's a good idea.
I'll wait till the end for my comments.
Okay. So Seth, I think you're up with your response.
All right. One thing I guess I'm going to preface my response with is Socrates was charged with impiety and corrupting the youth, and then they executed him. And the reason they did that is because he was annoying. He got up in people's faces. He told them they didn't know what they thought they knew, and he wanted people to ask questions. What's interesting is that the crime of corrupting the youth in a society where they did much worse things in the baths to the youth, where if it was your slave, you could rape a child to death. But what they charged him with and executed him for was corrupting the youth. So it's an odd thing when you use a word incorrectly, right? And that's what I think is going on here. The actions isn't what the dispute is about. It's about whether they raise to the level of severe, whether it is repetitive re-victimization that is the standard for what the courts use for harassment. And if it is trivial, if it is offhanded comment that happens occasionally, it does not raise to that standard. In this case, we're attempting to inflict a standard of, well, it's just an insane standard. And if that standard was applied to other people besides me, half the county would be fired, the other half would quit for fear of discipline. So I'll read my response, and then we'll get to this. This was written while I was out of the country, and so I'll respond to each of the issues presented in the investigative report prepared by Boucher Law. First, I would like to help understand the why of the situation. Normally, the board chair rotates. After I won my election in March, I would rotate to chair in a couple of weeks. Being board chair lets you rein in the CAO and put items he doesn't necessarily want to deal with on the agenda. So you will notice that banning me from being chair is his recommendation for discipline. The hurry for all of this is he needs it to be done before January to prevent me from being chair, which is why after sitting on it for 5 months, they are pushing it through now. Their original intent was to provide the report when I wasn't in the country and would be unable to defend myself. This is why I sought an injunction. After having asked for them to delay until I could appear in person and having been told repeatedly that my intent does not matter, I wanted to be able to defend myself in person. They have since published their agenda and report while I'm in the middle of the ocean, but at least by the time the special meeting happens, I'll have landed the night before, so I'll get to speak on my behalf. The other item I wish to point out is the fact that they are doing this in an open session, which is novel, and that they have had much more egregious behavior committed by other electeds and not had an open session determination report issued. But again, it makes sense in light of their goal and lack of actual cause. CSAC is a lobbying group who monetizes access to county supervisors. That money then is spent on their staff salaries and lobbyists who potentially help with state legislation that would be favorable to the county. I've noticed that we haven't gotten a third bridge or a bypass or even financial help taking down a hotel. So though they have paid lobbyists funded from the hundreds of vendors attempting to sell county officials things at their convention, those lobbyists haven't provided value for us. It is not a government agency. They can include or exclude whoever they want. When I was called and told they didn't want me to come to their parties anymore, I was surprised and disagreed with their allegations, but it's their party. They can invite who they want. I asked what was the cause, as they had never given me a written report, never asked for my input, only told me they were taking this action unilaterally and that it was unappealable. In the phone conversation, he did relay a conversation I had that offended people, so I thought I'd repeat it here for you. I was sitting at a table with my wife for one of their dinners. It was not part of the convention, just an after-hours mixer. Some other people joined our table. One of them started denigrating the poor. Describing her walk through an impoverished neighborhood, she went on to speak about the blatancy of the prostitutes and generally demean them. In case you don't know, elitism and narcissism is rather prevalent among county administrators and politicians. I thought I would take an opportunity to take the wind out of her sails, so I drew a metaphor of prostitution and government, both taking money from people and screwing them. The exact quote was, "Everyone in this room is a prostitute. You, me, everyone. We sell ourselves." Now, as a county administrator, she makes hundreds of thousands of dollars more than me. So I added, "At least you'll make more than me." This was horribly offensive to the people at the table, as they consider themselves the rulers of the hoi polloi and not working class. To be clear, my not going to CSAC had nothing to do with me having sex, soliciting sex, or any physical contact. It had to do with people not liking my lack of participation in the pageant of the absurd. You must compliment the emperor's clothes. Any divergence will be punished. So as to the report that was generated by the county by hiring an investigator, I was told repeatedly that this report was not sought by the county, and it was not the county's intention to make it public. They had received complaints and were required to investigate, and at no point did they solicit these complaints. However, the investigator's own words prove this to be untrue. Based on our understanding from your office, this report will be made public. If they were intending to conduct an investigation and not a witch hunt, why was the investigator directed that the report was to be made public before the report was even compiled? Furthermore, these events do not rise to the level of harassment, which is why there isn't any lawsuit. Many of these reports were gathered at the urgings of third parties. In looking at harassment, intent matters. Harassment has to be severe or continuously recurring, creating factors of adverse hardship in the work environment, re-victimizing the person over and over again. The law for the definition of sexual harassment. This is clearly not the case. However, the investigator states in his report, the intent of fear is not relevant to the interpretation of such comments and does not bear weight in this assessment. Some of these complaints are ridiculously trivial and would be humorous, except the people pushing this don't seem to understand humor. So that you can understand my intent, let me go through the items that I am accused of. I referred to the sexual harassment training as sex training. Note, sexual harassment training is just as bad as it is training you in sexual harassment. But people shorten sexual harassment prevention training down all the time. I simply abbreviated it even more. Yet this was such a breach of our work policy that it is listed as a charge for which I need to be disciplined. I was talking to a person and they said they wanted a massage. I put my hands on their shoulders. They said, "Oh, not here. We'll get in trouble with human resources." I immediately took my hands off. Later, they approached me and said, though they are the touchy-feely type, they don't want to cause trouble at work, so no touching. I assented, and I've never touched them again. As I was entering my office, a secretary was struggling to get out of her pullover sweater. In doing so, she was accidentally taking off her undershirt as well. Her midriff was exposed, and as I hurried past, averting my eyes, I warned her about her wardrobe malfunction and said, "Don't flash me." How this is a sexually exploitive boggles the mind. Asking someone to flash you I could understand, but not "don't flash me." I once gently pulled on a ponytail of an employee to let them know I was behind them. They said, "Don't." I never touched them again. Again, this doesn't qualify as sexual or harassment. It wasn't severe. It wasn't repetitive. When I asked if there was any issues I needed to make amends for, they answered no. Everything is fine. I saw another employee at church. Later, we were having a conversation about seeing the other person at church. I complimented her once and touched her nose once. Neither of these are severe, nor was it recurring, nor was it adverse. This qualifies neither as religious discrimination nor sexual. I am Jewish. When When I have the opportunity to talk to others about interesting topics, I do so. If a Gentile is offended that Jews talk to each other, it isn't a Jewish problem. But hey, since they have all sorts of other silly accusation, let's throw some racism in as well. The gentlemen I struck up a conversation with, by the way, were not attending the conference. The conversation didn't happen at the conference. I was not representing the county in any fashion. But please, let's restrict my ability to be able to talk to people. Another claim is, again, not at the conference, but on my own time. We passed a wedding party. I complimented the bride. The investigator, of course, never spoke to the bride, but someone else around seemed to be very interested in every statement I make, as it was included as evidence that I noticed and complimented someone, which to them is evidence of sexual harassment. The social aggressive claim, telling someone they are worth more than $100. I was attempting to get funding for a bridge. While talking about the value of that to my community, I repeatedly told someone they were worth more than $100. That was determined to be too socially aggressive? Again, these conclusions are madness. How is saying people are worth more than $100 harassment? How is it possibly a workplace code of conduct violation? I have no idea about someone feeling they couldn't get past me at some point. It is conceivable they wanted to go around me and I tried to go around them and we both went in the same direction and I inadvertently blocked their path. I have no idea about the claim that I touched someone's side or poked them in the stomach while talking to them. If someone tells me there's an issue, I attempt to resolve it. If they don't, then I have to wait 2 years for an HR incident report. For there to be workplace violence charge, there has to be a credible threat of violence. In this case, I and another supervisor and our wives were at a social event. On the ride, I kiddingly suggested pushing the other supervisor off of our nearly stationary tiki boat into calm, warm water in daylight. He took the words as a joke. In no way can this rise to the level of workplace violence. Again, the people with the agenda hoping to sling enough mud that people assume there must be some substance, but it's all smoke and no fire. The other issue I'd like to address is the idea that I do not take these allegations seriously. To someone who is not taking this seriously, take it to court. I chose not to push the issue when I received a letter from CSAC and RCRC. I believe in the rights of any organization not to have someone be a part of their events or organization. My choosing not to fight at that time is in no way, nor can it be taken or should it be taken as an admission of guilt, which the investigator and county have implied. As I mentioned above, I like humor. I find humor gets me through a lot of life's difficulties. To deal with issues, but I have always respected the rights of others to not like my humor, not get me. And as I stated before, I have always attempted to resolve any issues with others. Publishing this report and making a public spectacle is harassment and abuse of power. The goal is to stop me from being chair and to defame me in the eyes of my constituents. Additionally, I would like to just explain that Human Resources recognizes that this activity does not rise to the level of legal liability. What they say is there's a huge gap between our zero tolerance policy. The problem is that if they have a zero tolerance policy that is not used on everyone, but only selectively when they are attempting to chase someone out, then that's the problem. So weaponizing human resources to go after only certain individuals for their policy is where the problem is. The policy itself is absurd. As soon as you do anything that makes someone uncomfortable, whether through word or action, you're now in violation of the policy. If Kevin Mallon calls me an anarchist in meetings because he thinks that I want to reduce government regulations, is he in violation of the policy? If he says I want to burn down the government, does that mean that he's creating an adverse work environment for me? If we shake hands and I feel that he holds my hand a little too long, is that now sexual harassment because I'm uncomfortable? If he squeezes it too much, is that now going to be workplace violence? At what point are these things that when I make anyone uncomfortable ever in any way going to rise to the level that it's a violation that has to be disciplined? And that's the issue. When you selectively enforce, there's a problem. When the policy can't be enforced on everyone because it's absurdly high barrier that makes everyone guilty. That's an issue. I've witnessed lots of things that would qualify the way that they're using this policy against me, that it makes it very problematic.
Thank you, Seth. So this opens up a chance for any of the supervisors to ask any questions of Seth or anybody else. Any other questions?
I guess I'll make a statement since nobody else is planning on making a statement. I consider friends with Seth in the last 2 years since I've been on the board, actually going back to almost 3 years when I first ran for election. And so I've been to a lot of these events with Seth, socialized with Seth quite a bit. And Seth has made probably comments that people have taken inappropriately and rubbed people the wrong way. I don't think there are any, when you hear his answers to things in his mind, I don't think he was sexually harassing anybody and I don't even know why we're just even saying sexual harassment, because it's more just offending people. And I've witnessed that myself a couple of times from you, Seth. So my goal is that to better Yuba County, that we all work with Seth to help him in the social aspect or being supervisors, to realize when it's a joke and when it's taken too far and offending people, just so we shine better and look better as a board and off the dais as well as on. So getting back to the going to events, I'd be more than willing to make sure I am at events with Seth. And because I really, truly want him to help him to represent us better. I know it's his humor, it's his sense of humor. Everybody has a different sense of humor, but sometimes his humor's taken wrong. So anyhow, I think I would obviously, whatever we're going to do, I'm for doing all the things except maybe possibly not taking the chair away from him next year, but having him attend the classes to help him realize, help you see that sometimes your comments are wrong and maybe held back until you read the crowd better, maybe. Anyway,
okay.
That's my comment.
If I may.
Yeah.
The issue is that anybody here has people who are offended at some point by something. There is a constituent that doesn't like something you say or do. So the level to create a situation where we're going to call it harassment and requires discipline cannot be that someone somewhere is offended. Because if that's the level, everyone is guilty of that, because someone somewhere is going to be upset because of something someone did. So that can't be the level, and that's the level that's being used here. That's why the courts make it a much higher level. It has to be severe. It has to be repetitive. It has to be adverse working conditions, none of which apply. Because if we hold it at somebody didn't like that, then that's everyone all the time. Someone's going to be offended, and everyone's guilty. But we don't enforce this on everyone. We only enforce this selectively.
So when the CSAC letter came out, Seth and I got together for maybe an hour or so and talking about things. And it triggered in my mind back when I was in my 20s. I said some stupid stuff. And and said some things that in my mind were a joke and nobody was laughing. But that was when I was in my 20s and not an elected official. And I think that's the big thing for me, is the difference between just being somebody in your 20s or 30s and being stupid, or being an elected official where you're actually representing people. People elected you to represent them and represent them in dignity. So when something like this happens, it reflects badly not only on the board, it reflects badly on the employees of the county. It reflects badly on the 80-some residents we have in the county. That's kind of where I'm coming from. I want to talk just a second about the people that felt it was enough for them to come forward, because that's a hard bridge to cross. And I want to give, I don't know if sympathy is the right word, but I really feel badly that they got to the point where they felt they had to come forward and file these complaints. They were not coerced into doing that. They did it on their own. So anyway, I think the big thing for me is the difference between a private citizen in their youth and being an elected official. And I'm not sure I've got much more that I should say.
Through the chair. Our biggest responsibility is to provide a positive workplace for all our employees. And I think we've all taken that seriously. And I move to adopt the resolution for the Board of Supervisors to accept the executive summary of the investigation report and take all the following actions to comply with county policies to address Supervisor Seth Fuhrer's workplace conduct. A draft resolution is attached.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second, and this is going to require a roll call vote.
Supervisor Vasquez?
Yes.
Supervisor Fuhrer?
No.
Supervisor Bradford?
Yes.
Supervisor Messick?
I'm going to vote no, only because I wanted to take out that part of not being chair next year.
Supervisor Blaser?
Yes.
Motion passes. Thank you.
Okay, I appreciate everybody contributing time, showing up, showing interest. But I think with that vote, we are done. We are done for the day, and we are going to close the meeting at 1:53. Thank you very much.
Yuba-Sutter.live's local government live streams are presented by Plumas Lake Self-Storage in Plumas Lake, where lifelong local residents are helping other residents keep things safe, providing indoor storage units, outdoor RV and vehicle parking, moving supplies, and Penske truck rentals. Details at plumaslakeselfstorage.com.
There's more Christmas to come on Yuba-Sutter.live. We're going all over Yuba-Sutter, catching a number of Christmas celebrations in the act of happening. Friday at 5 p.m. we'll have the Yuba City Christmas tree lighting, and then zip out to Sutter for the 6:30 Sutter Parade of Lights. If you missed any of them, you can binge watch them for the first time, or watch them again right here this Sunday night. 5 p.m., the Marysville Christmas tree lighting and 73rd Marysville Christmas Parade replay. We'll list the winners. Then at 7 p.m., the 55th Olivehurst Christmas Parade replay, also with winners noted. At 8 o'clock, the Yuba City Downtown Christmas Tree Lighting and Sutter Parade of Lights replay. Christmas events in Yuba-Sutter this Sunday evening at 5, 7, and 8.
Merry Christmas, Yuba-Sutter.live.
In Yuba County, there's a legendary diner.
Oh, it was delicious. Oh my gosh, thank you so much.
Where the parking lot tells a story. A story as simple as biscuits and gravy.
The food is good. The prices are wonderful. My dad has so many friends here that come here, and it's my dad and mom have known Mary Jane and her dad before Duke.
Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, home of legendary chili, holiday pies, and generations of local residents preparing tasty, hearty food for generations of local people. Join Mary Jane and her genial associates as they serve meals you'll come back for. Duke's Diner on 7th Avenue, Olivehurst.
In Marysville, where roots run deep, McCallie Appliances promises to keep the best brands with a smile on its face. We service what we sell, it's a warm embrace. competitive pricing you can't ignore. With every purchase, you'll love it more. From fridges to washers, all in a line. We install with care to make it shine. Major brands, trusted and true. McNally Appliances is here for you. Oh, Nally McNally, we're your first choice. In Marysville, we help you rejoice. We service what we sell, no need to stress. At McNally Appliances, we're simply the best. Our promise stands, we'll always be here. McNally Appliances, bringing your cheer.
McNally Appliances, 119 D Street, Marysville. McNallyAppliances.com. You've seen signs marking some of the gyms in Marysville. They're produced by Sapphire Sign Company, providing something small, large, and mobile. With decades of experience, Sapphire Signs has pioneered local production of a variety of signs, like temporary campaign-style signs, welcomes for unique events, building signage, event promotion, and vehicle customization. Need a sign? Make it a gem from Sapphire Sign Company. On the web at sapphiremarketinggroup.net. Sapphire.
Hi, I'm Neil Goforth of Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties. Caring for elders or even yourself has challenges. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties can help you address today's issues and plan for tomorrow with in-home and specialized care for you or your family members. Call us at 530-749-8800. Comfort Keepers of Yuba, Sutter, and Nevada counties.
In the heart of the valley, we rise so bright, where the news flows freely in the morning light. Yuba-Sutter.live, where truth comes alive. Every Tuesday's a journey, it's where we thrive. Watch it unfold. Yuba-Sutter.live, in the heart of our home. Be informed, be wise. Yuba-Sutter.live, we capture it all. Policy debates, hear the people's call. With Yuba-Sutter.live, you'll never miss a beat. Special reports hit hard, shining a spotlight. Yuba-Sutter.live. Yuba-Sutter.live.
There's more Christmas to come on Yuba-Sutter.live. We're going all over Yuba-Sutter, catching a number of Christmas celebrations in the act of happening. Friday at 5 p.m. we'll have the Yuba City Christmas tree lighting, and then zip out to Sutter for the 6:30 Sutter Parade of Lights. If you missed any of them, you can binge watch them for the first time, or watch them again right here this Sunday night. 5 p.m., the Marysville Christmas tree lighting and 73rd Marysville Christmas Parade replay. We'll list the winners. Then at 7 p.m., the 55th Olivehurst Christmas Parade replay, also with winners noted. At 8 o'clock, the Yuba City Downtown Christmas Tree Lighting and Sutter Parade of Lights replay. Christmas events in Yuba-Sutter this Sunday evening at 5, 7, and 8.
Merry Christmas, Yuba-Sutter.live.
You're watching Yuba-Sutter.live, Yuba-Sutter's live streaming channel on Facebook and YouTube. Thanks for watching, and Merry Christmas.